Alright, yeah, tell them about it right now, Marciano.
So I guess, like, I was just sort of thinking about it, and I figured it might be an idea if the group, like, just all like GamsterLife and maybe any special guests in general, we all read a creepypasta and then discussed our thoughts about it at the end, and, well, if the stories, we'll try not to poke fun at them if we can
Yeah, this
resist
isn't
it.
Sonomy Story or T1 Weasel. We gotta get out of...
Or Sonic.exe.
I wonder if T1 Weasel has written stories in here.
Hey, look, it's somebody we could add. So, speaking of special guests, let's see if he answers. Somebody you guys haven't met yet, but you've heard about him. At least AJ has.
Looks like he's not in.
Well, low anyway.
Look, we're gonna read these creepypastas and it's gonna be fun.
Yep. So
Not
the
AJ, though.
creepypasta for today is a Majora's Mask based.
Majora's Mask is a creepypasta. You kidding me?
Yeah, that's true. It's a Majora's Mask based creepypasta, so a creepypasta based on a creepypasta about a very creepy figure, possibly the creepiest in the game, the Happy Mask Salesman.
Oh, look, there's a creepypasta about Wind Waker.
Yep.
Tell them the title of the story.
Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can see why he's not in yet.
What do you mean?
He said, I'm on Skype right now.
Oh, yes, that's that guy. What's LJ doing?
He's recovering.
Thank you. I expected that he was doing that.
He's trying not to laugh.
What? You need the computer? What?
Okay, if he doesn't pick up this time, I'm just gonna read the story.
Oh. What do you need on it?
By the way, AJ, this is Cody. If he gets on. You remember hearing about him, right?
Barely.
Well, he didn't answer, so I'm just gonna read. Happiness for sale. A man came into town today, a very strange man. He looked to be in his 30s, walking with a hunchback with a load of items on it. He had thinning red hair and tannish skin, as well as an almost skeleton-like frame. He was quite small, really. It was the big grin on his face that got me. It was such a large smile, almost inhumanly big. Its edges seemed to stretch beyond his cheekbones and into his eyes. He strolled into town with that joyful expression on his face, speaking in almost whispers to children who were lined along the road. The children would stare, emotionless, as he whispered to them. I couldn't make out what he was saying from the distance, so I sat on the centerpieces in town square waiting for him to cross my path. I was genuinely terrified, to be honest, but I didn't know why. Yet, even still, I wanted to wait for him. I couldn't explain this curiosity, but it had a hold on me that would not be released until I spoke to the eerie man. He slowly began approaching me. The soft thudding of his footsteps was barely audible over the dull roar in the square. Yet, all the same, I could hear it plainly as anything else as I waited in a slight panic for him to reach me. Jeez, this guy's really freaked out about some dude he's never even seen before, huh?
Are you talking about me?
What?
Oh, there he is. That's Cody, everybody.
Reading other
Cody meet
stories.
AJ and Robert. Robert and AJ meet Cody.
Yeah.
We're reading a creepypasta based off Majora's Mask for YouTube.
That's
That's a
also
deep-
AJ.
Hey,
Yes,
AJ. I know an AJ too. You're the second AJ I know. Well, I don't know you.
his nickname is Ace, ironically enough.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking is that AJ. But it's not, because AJ's got a different one.
But anyways, we're reading a creepypasta about the Happy Mask Salesman. He stopped.
Pasta, now you're making me hungry. But finally, It's been like
You're being on YouTube, by the way, recording right now.
Oh. Well, it's been almost half a year since I talked to you.
He stopped in front of me, still not facing me. I looked up to catch his face. He stared forward, and then slowly turned towards me. He never opened his eyes, and the smile never disappeared from his face. Turning his head to me, he opened one eye and stared directly at me with it. I slumped down, an incredible fear that I had never felt hit me like a wave. He didn't say a word, he only stared into my eyes with the open hawk eye he had opened. The open hawk eye he had opened, huh?
Yeah.
That's redundant. I completely lost track of reality. The sounds of the town square around me faded away, and I became immersed in an eerie silence that seemed deafening. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. Nothing would move. My body seemed frozen to the bricks I was sitting on. The smile felt like it was looking at me, almost like there was the true man behind it, not the eyes. I can't explain it, but to put it the best I can, the smile seemed ageless, eternal. It echoed in my mind into infinity. My body began leaning away from him. Slowly his head turned back to face the road, and he began to go on his way again. All this happened in a matter of seconds, by the way. I was shaking violently. I felt like I could throw up. As he walked off, I realized that there were masks on his back. He must have been a mask collector of sorts. That night I couldn't sleep. All I could think about was the meeting with him in the square. He didn't say anything, but I felt as if he completely disemboweled me with his glance, his piercing eye. I didn't know what it was, but that man was not human. No, he was something else, something very sinister. That ageless feeling didn't go away either, as if he was some sort of ancient demon, wandering the earth from city to city, town to town. Why, though? I wanted to know more. I was becoming obsessed with the very thing that terrified more than anything else. Tomorrow I would search for him and see if he was in town. I had honestly hoped he had left, yet if he hadn't, I could learn more about him. The next day, I ate breakfast and ran to the square.
I ate breakfast today, too!
Because that's completely not normal.
It isn't. You know, a bunch of freaks.
I saw a small group of people gathered around a small vacant building in the corner.
You better be
I
careful,
ran over
it might
to-
be a gorilla.
I ran over to see him, the demon, standing in front of everyone. He had his hands together and was speaking about how he was opening his Happy Mask shop here in the square. He preached and preached, "Come one, come alls," to the crowd, and he seemed mesmerized by his words. Finally he finished and headed inside the tiny building. A small sign next to it read, "Happy Mask Shop. Happiness is just a mask away." Hold on.
This guy is very poor English. I'm reading through the story and he has a lot of spelling errors and a lot of misused words.
Alright, I'm back.
Didn't know you left.
I shuddered. What was so scary about this man? I had to know more, so I ran inside. There was already a few people in there, yet it was silent. No one was talking. What was going on? Were they negotiating something? I saw a man, a child next to him, and a woman behind him. Yet none of them were saying anything. They were only staring at the Happy Mask Salesman. He nodded his head, as if they had reached some silent agreement, and handed 2 masks to the man and child. They turned and walked out. As they passed, I saw a glazed look in their eyes, as if they were completely out of it. The woman was out, just behind them, carrying another mask. Then it was me. I was all alone with him.
This is a pretty crazy game. I mean, this guy, mysterious mask guy, shows up. A traveling guy. One of his masks gets stolen. He's like, "Look, kid, if you don't find this mask, the moon's gonna crash into the earth and kill everyone."
He goes absolutely bonkers, too. Like, "Where don't you have my mask?"
It's a lot of pressure to put on a little kid.
Yeah. He cocked his head, maintaining his silence. He wanted me to speak, so I did, asking him about his shop, as well as where he came from. Silence. He didn't say anything. He just kept grinning. I was beginning to become irritated, yet simultaneously more frightened, too. I stepped back towards the door, asking him to answer me. Just then a child walked in. It was a boy, not over 5 years old. He walked up to the Happy Mask Salesman. The man stood there and hunched over to the boy. The boy held out his hands, expecting a mask, perhaps? The Happy Mask man opened his eyes. I guess he's not a salesman anymore. Both of them, and stared the most evil glare had ever seen at the child had.
Sorry to interrupt. I don't have any headphones, so if you hear any background noises, just ignore that.
That's all right.
Sorry about that.
No problem. I stepped back again, almost tripping as I reached for the doorknob. To my sheer terror, the man grabbed the boy by the neck and picked him up off the ground. I could hear horrific screeches of terror coming from the boy's throat. He was at least 8 feet off the ground. Just then the salesman's mouth began opening. Still smiling, of course. It grew wider and wider until it was at least a foot wide. I could hear his jaw snapping as it opened.
10 minutes before I have to close my shop. I am famished. Let's see what little boys we got at the counter. Gotta get there before the police come and arrest me.
Horrible.
5-year-old. I'm trying to be good, but I guess one bite won't hurt.
I'm pretty sure even AJ wouldn't cross that line.
Is AJ even here?
He's on mute. He's pretending to not be here.
How is being on mute gonna make you pretend you're not here?
And he muted his volume.
Okay, well that.
Horrible and inhuman sounds began coming from him as he raised the child higher. Then, all of a sudden, the child was halfway down the salesman's throat.
Whoa!
I screamed as I could see.
Talk about. Wow. This reminds me of something, but I don't remember what it is.
It reminds me of that movie. I think it was the Brothers Grimm. Yeah, there's a pretty disgusting scene in it.
What are y'all even talking about?
Not even AJ has this kind of appetite.
Well, like I said, we're reading a creepypasta on the Happy Mask Salesman, Cody.
The pasta?
In other words, a creepy story.
I don't think pasta can be creepy. I think it can be delicious.
Exactly.
So that's what you're talking about?
Yep.
That's interesting, then. That's very interesting.
I screamed as I could see the boy's legs kicking in the salesman's mouth. Slowly but surely they slid down and disappeared. The boy was gone. I began crying hysterically, yet I still couldn't move. He turned to me, his mouth still hanging wide open.
You know, he reminds me of you guys see the Courage the Cowardly Dog episode when the Fred guy comes in and he's like cutting hair and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
He's like, I feel a bit naughty.
You stupid dog! You make me look bad!
Ooga
booga booga. He turned to me, his mouth still hanging wide open. He then put his hands to his face. A strange glow began to appear around his hands. Slowly, he peeled his hands away from his face. A repulsive stretching sound could be heard. His skin appeared to be getting pulled off. He arched his back farther and farther until his hands were separated from his face by a clump of flesh at least 2 feet long.
That's nasty.
How is Link gonna return his mask now when he's a monster?
This thing was an absolute monster. The flesh tore off, leaving the same grinning face. He stood there with a mask of skin in his hands. Slowly the skin began molding and contorting. I backed into the corner. What the heck was going on?
This thing is going off the walls. Like usually creepypastas could be somewhat plausible, but this is just total baloney.
Why is it called a pasta?
I don't know.
I have no idea. Google it.
Every time I hear pasta, I'm thinking of food.
Creepy stories then. The Twilight Zone. But not the vampire one. Or the one with the ponies. Okay, go ahead.
Before I knew it, the skin had turned into a small shape in his hands. He held his hand out, showing me his new prize. It was the child's face. He made a mask out of flesh. The horror hit me, and I began vomiting into my lap.
I
heard
only
a
I were that
small-
talented. Some people just know how to do everything.
Yep,
That means he had to eat Mario. What the hell?
I know, right? I heard a small chuckle coming from the salesman. No, I had to get out of there. I got up and ran for the door. Upon grabbing the doorknob, I heard one more thing. Do you want a mask, my boy? Tears were streaming down my cheeks as I was sobbing and running across the town square. I could hear people gasping and shrieking as I ran by. I'm sure I was a poor sight, a child covered in blood and vomit. I didn't care, though. That thing in there was a demon. I ran to my house and ran straight to my room. Both my parents were out. Of course. I sat there for what must have been hours, rocking back and forth and covered in filth. Finally, I got up and looked out the window. The small building was still there, but no one was going into it. The sign was gone.
Man,
To
talk
this-
about poor salesmanship, right?
I know, right? So much for that pitch.
But let me tell you, the economy's really hard in that town.
To this day, I have no idea what happened or what I experienced. I've never told anyone because I know no one will believe me except you're telling us. I washed myself and tried to continue my life as normal after that day. The Happy Mask Salesman was gone. I even asked around town, and people all claimed they either had no idea what I was talking about or they weren't
must
sure.
have returned that mask then.
Yep. You know what? Link
Wait,
back the
so
Song
he's
of Time
afraid
and
of-
then-
So this mask guy, he's afraid of him with the gigantic moon that's getting ready to crash into Termina. That's okay.
Yep, that's perfectly okay.
He completely ignored it.
I don't get how they can be so oblivious. Well, some of them. Dead ends were everywhere. Had it been a dream? No. I would not make up anything like that, and I pity all those who may experience him in the future.
But
That
in
monster-
reality, he did a lot of acid.
That monster, that thing. May the gods protect all who come into his path. It's been a few years now. A lot has happened since then, but he has never come back, and I dread the day more than anything when he may. If he does, I'll be sure to stay clear. If you see a man in your hometown claiming to sell masks, a man who looks off and seems to be hiding something sinister, stay away from him.
Don't
He isn't
make him
human.
a girl. My sister makes masks and sell masks.
But
Should
what
I be
about the
worried
people
about
at the
that?
Halloween store?
If they look all goth and everything, and always had that strange facial expression.
That is not nice to say about someone's sister.
Whatever it is the very essence of evil itself.
Well, I think that was a good story.
That's a lot better than Sodomy's story.
Well, yeah, okay, now that just goes without saying, alright?
One thing I noticed that I've liked quite a bit about this creepypasta. Usually creepypastas, it's like blood.
Well, there was
jump
blood
scare.
in this one.
There was like one instance where blood was mentioned.
I don't know when to talk. Can I talk now?
Yeah, give your critiques.
I've never read a pasta before. I've eaten pasta, tons and tons of pasta, but I've never read one.
It's really difficult. The pasta noodles to read them off of are really small.
Nothing all that creepy. I've seen that before, but I've seen way too many horror movies and played too many horror games.
I wonder what you would.
It did sound pretty creepy. Especially about the mask is skin and yeah, that was nasty.
For it being
That was more nasty than creepy.
in the Zelda universe, I could see that being plausible, though, knowing the Happy Mask Salesman.
So, AJ, what did you think? Good!
Dead silence.
He's like gonna view this on playback, and he's gonna be like, "This was it. This was creepy."
Well, if we
So on a scale of
episode-
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you guys rate that as far as being creepy?
Well, since I've never read a creepypasta before, It was just kind of more silly than creepy.
It was more. It wasn't creepy. It was just disgusting.
I don't know. I guess I'll give it a 10.
4.5. Was I wasn't here during all of it. Hold on one second.
It's
Hold on.
another one I want to read. I sent it to you earlier. It's so...
Yeah, but
No, we must read it.
Alright.
Okay, no,
it'll have to be when I come back. Cody's gonna want to be a part of it.
Oh, yeah.
He's also a brony.
Why don't you text me or call me sometime?
Gosh.
Because I'm trying to encourage you to get on Skype more.
Well, maybe if you let me know when you're on.
Have to.
'Cause how many times have I called you this month?
How many times have I been on Skype this month? Every
late
day.
at night.
Not every day, because I've been on some. Of course, I haven't checked every day, but what specific time?
It changes.
You
This
change-
past week I've been on pretty much all day.
Okay, well, I'll just keep the computer on, keep Skype on, turn the
Wait,
volume way up on the
Are you still
computer.
recording, Robert?
Yeah. Should I stop? We can edit
Well-
this out of post.
You guys can, like, send requests for creepypastas and stuff like that. Maybe if something's highly requested, we'll do it. Or if you guys send us something you created, we'll try to read it.
As long as it's not Sodomy Story. We're not going to read anything that has to do with that.
That's the creepiest creepypasta right there.
But that's why we're not going to read it. Because
But yeah, it's gotta be a legit creepypasta.
yeah, if it's like 3 sentences.
Wait, I'm still trying to get, so, like, a pasta is like a made-up story, or it could be, or is it real? What is it? Oh,
I'm about to send you a good example of one.
okay.
Yeah, well, I'm in this recording now.
Yeah, see y'all.